Game Boy Advance Video, the ultimate way to bring the cinema experience home. I remember endlessly watching Shrek and its partner film, A Shark's Tale, on family road trips. But unfortunately, the only real way to experience this was on a portable device, and oftentimes, depending on what unit you had, an unlit portable device. Imagine if you could watch these films on a TV. Well, now you can. Unfortunately, due to copyright concerns, Nintendo disallows compatibility with the Game Boy Advance player. It was an experience that Nintendo withheld, but is now available. Through our research, we have found out how to unlock the true potential of Game Boy Advance Video. And we're going to tell you how. How to get the best quality out of Shrek on GBA.
For games. Games are hard, they're hard for games. Games are hard, they're hard for games. Games are hard, they're hard for games. Yeah, they're so hard. They're hard for games. Yeah, they're so hard. They're hard for games. Tony has the cash that turns on the video game. Power light.
Nintendo released the Game Boy Player in 2003, and it allowed previously unsurpassed video quality for the Game Boy family of gaming systems. But unfortunately, as Tony said, it was very heavily restricted for Game Boy Advance Video. So how do we get this playing on a GameCube? Our first thought and our first bit of research pointed to using an expensive $50 Game Boy Advance Action Replay. It's not uncommon to use Action Replay devices to bypass region for other systems. Unfortunately, the unit would not boot at all, both in the GBA and in the GBA player.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, hard for games. Why are you going through all of this trouble? Why are you trying to watch Shrek this way when you could just emulate it? Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that. You see, for a while, this cartridge was considered undumpable. It has a different chipset than normal Game Boy Advance games, so software and hardware-wise, dumpers didn't really understand it, didn't know what to do with it. So there aren't really any ROMs floating around anywhere that we could find anyways, to watch. Plus, call me old-fashioned, but I like watching Shrek the way the developers intended. On GBA Video, on original hardware.
So enter the world of the Game Boy Interface. It's a program that allows you to play your Game Boy titles without the Game Boy player boot disc. And as an added bonus, it provides options for crisper images and lower latency. And for some magical reason, it bypasses the security lockout completely. Our guess is that the lockout is software-based, possibly in the boot disk, which we are no longer using. So let's pop in the SD Media Launcher, the easiest way to use the Game Boy interface. And let's test the following. Composite.
SVideo.
Component.
RF? I think we'll skip RF. Now before we jump into that, John, let me go ahead and preface the Game Boy interface a bit more.
No.
Well, I'm going to anyways. Remember our GBI options? Well, only one of them actually works with these analog outputs. The Game Boy interface gives a signal, but it functions like a Game Boy player, a regular Game Boy player, and we get that incompatibility screen. GBI ultra low latency gives us no signal at all. GBI low latency is the sweet spot.
Composite, perhaps the easiest plug-and-play option for modern displays. SVideo, a huge step up, but very rare on modern displays. Component cables, rare and fairly expensive. Last year, $350. I got mine for $180 this year. The video quality is fantastic, and it allows 480p out and makes all of your games look very, very nice. But they really shine with Shrek and Shark Tale. This is one of the movies that taught us that it isn't just Disney Pixar that can make a beautiful film. This was a whole new genre and beginning for Dreamcast Pictures. With Component, the quality is just so high, truly nothing gets between you and the film. You've probably heard people talk at length of the amazing experience of seeing a film at, say, the Alamo Drafthouse. And it is a great experience. But I'm sorry, Alamo, you have nothing on Shrek through these component cables. It is, well, an experience beyond description.
It does look good, and one of the added benefits of Component is that we can run it through our OSSC, or Open Source Scanned Converter. Which means we can not only output to HDMI, but the unit can line double. So, here's Shrek at 480p, and here it is doubled to 1080p. Here's Shark Tale at 1080p. Now, you don't have to line double, but I personally recommend it. I love being able to upgrade my GBA video to a clean HD signal.
But hey, wait a minute. How about those newfangled HDMI adapters?
Well, we have the Zelda X Pro GCVideo plug-and-play 3.0. That's a little bit of a mouthful, so I can't speak to the other adapters, but I can tell you about this one. With the Game Boy interface, it boots, but it says not compatible with the Game Boy player. The Game Boy interface low latency gives us no signal at all. The Game Boy interface ultra low latency, well, that boots up and it works just fine. It's almost the opposite with a digital signal when compared to an analog signal. We thought we were going down a dead end with the GBI because we didn't realize at first that only certain settings worked for certain outputs, i.e. analog or digital. And we attempted our first tests with the HDMI adapter. The HDMI does look good, and it is very convenient and modern. We are stuck with a 480 signal though, because we can't plug it into our OSSC for that line doubling.
So which is better? Beautiful Component or modern HDMI? Well, really that's up to your preferences, and which is easier to display for you. But the real answer is DisplayPort. Good night.
So thank you everybody for watching, and of course a giant shout out and thank you to My Life in Gaming, who this episode was obviously very heavily based off of in a very silly way. They do a lot of these comparisons on how to get the best quality out of your X, Y, or Z type videos.
They do a lot of research into actually finding out how to do this, and I actually started this as a joke, seeing could this even be done?
Yep.
So it was kind of funny that we just kept trying at this, because the idea of doing this as a spoof video was so funny that we did eventually find a way. So there's a full tutorial on how to get this god-awful video quality off of this terrible cartridge that's worth nothing.
Yes. So if you spend about $350, $400 worth on equipment, you can get the absolute best quality out of your Shrek on Game Boy Advance video. But for serious though, thank you to My Life in Gaming. You guys have definitely improved the quality of our content over the years with your recommendations in terms of how to capture and such.
We hope we're improving the quality of your Shrek.
That's right. Hey, cheers everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subbing. Thank you for clicking that notification button, because as you know, the YouTube system is horribly broken. And a quick apology to the algorithm if in fact we are under 10 minutes. I'm so sorry. I know you're going to punish us good. Take care, guys.
Under 10, over 12. It's the only thing you can do. You just 10 to 12.
That's why we drink.